Oh man, I only just picked Sarah. Ugh. Maybe I should stop trying to pick my number one favorites. They keep getting voted out. First Henry and now Sarah. Ugh. But I gotta say, someone who I am becoming more and more impressed with, which I'm not gonna name as my new favorite because that means she'll probably get voted out, is Michelle. Wow, more and more often she's making these assessments of people and other players and situations which are turning out to be true, and as based off this episode, she's not someone you want to cross.
Cyrus, help me!
Looks like you missed your connection.
We were coming to get you. Please.
Anara.
So the episode starts with everyone returning to camp after tribal and Michelle furious that she was kept out of the loop about Tessa's blindside. She says that it was silly of them to keep her out of the loop, which interestingly is the same thing she said after the merge when the old Samatau alliance was kind of not including her in the planning. She said the exact same thing, very silly of them, and that's why she jumped ship and it sort of broke apart Samatau and they've been scrambling ever since. So that she's now saying that about her old Asaga alliance should be a red flag for them. But none of this really seems to bother Luke. He says, we've been picking off Samatau one by one. They should realize that there won't be any Samatau left soon. And he is right. I mean, the four killers, Asaga Alliance, they came in there with the intention of breaking apart the much bigger Samatau Alliance and picking it to pieces and taking the power. And yeah, they've done that. And they've done a really great job. But meanwhile, Sarah and Jericho were trying to patch up the relationship with Michelle, and she just was not having it. She just absolutely was not having it. She said, no, I can't work with you anymore. I can't trust you anymore. And she made a really great call. She said, I think you guys have done more damage to your game right now than ever would have been done if Tessa had stayed in the game. And she turns out to be exactly right. Because by now driving Michelle away, they lose that fourth number and they're the minority now. And it pretty much is the final nail in the coffin. And as we'll see, it's pretty much the reason that Asaga, that 4, breaks apart. And Michelle sets about making alternate plans to make her way to the end. That doesn't include Asaga. Elsewhere, Lockie realizes that Ziggy must have voted against them in the vote split, because last vote, Tessa's plan, it didn't work because she got blindsided, but her plan was to split the votes between Lockie and Tara. Ziggy was one of the people who voted for Tara, so Lockie's figured out that Ziggy, once again, has voted against them, even though she's pretending to be with them. But he's able to put it aside, as he's able to put aside the bad blood that he has with Pete in the past, just because there's 4 left of old Samatau, there's 4 left of old Asaga. They have to stick together if they want a chance, but they're also aware that Michelle is now drifting over towards them, so as long as they just stick together, they can take back control of the game. And after a pretty hilarious reward challenge with the charades, Lockie, Ziggy, Sarah and Luke end up getting the reward, and they win a big KFC meal and try to begin the #Nugget Alliance. An interesting point here was when Luke says, let's all just say who we want voted out, 3, 2, 1, and Ziggy and Lockie both said Jericho, and Luke and Sarah said Pete. Kind of weird names to throw out there. Maybe they weren't the actual real names though, maybe they were just saying what they thought was a safe name to throw out. So Sarah then shifts and says, well, would you guys be on board with taking out Michelle? Which was kind of a surprise to Luke. But Lockie and Ziggy and all his side, they don't buy it at all. They don't buy it. They think it's a fake plan. So they instead decide to side with Michelle and vote out Sarah. But this idea of like having a fake plan and then a real plan under it, this is something that came up in the last couple of episodes. It's something that's sort of been around in Survivor for a while, but it's kind of been articulated a lot recently in the show of like going 2 layers deep. Is you have the fake plan and then under it you have the real plan, because you have to have that for the blind side. And it occurs to me that, you know, we are going to get to the point in Survivor where people are going to expect that the first plan they hear is a fake plan, and they're going to keep digging to get to the real plan under it. And then people are going to need to start having 2 fake plans and the real plan under that. They'll have to go like 3 layers deep, kind of like Inception. So that people will will dig through the fake plan, find the other fake plan, think that's the real plan, but if they keep digging, they'll actually find the real plan under that. I don't even know how the TV show is going to even portray that in episodes once you get to that point. There'll just be so much scheming and people running around. Who knows, we might even already be at that point. It's hard to tell. And after Lockie wins immunity, it seems that the writing is on the wall for Sarah. The Nugget Alliance has not come through, and it seems that everyone's going with Michelle, and it appears that the old Samatau Alliance is going with Michelle and is going to take out Sarah. However, Sarah makes probably the best pitch she possibly could make under the circumstances to Lockie and as well as all the others, which is the idea of keeping strong players moving forward, because she makes a point, and it's a very valid point, that at this point in the game, usually what happens is you've got strong players and you've got weak players. No one wants to sit next to a strong player at the end because they're probably going to lose to them. So all of the weak players tend to band together and vote out the strong players, and often at the same time the strong players are targeting each other for the same reason that the weaker players are targeting them, and it's getting to the end if you're a strong player is a very, very difficult thing to do in this final part of the game, unless you do something like what Sarah suggests. You make an alliance of only strong players. And I thought about it and I thought, she's exactly right. If you're a strong player and people recognize you as a threat and you have a target on your back, at this point in the game, you cannot afford to feud with other big threats. The only way you're going to make it to the end is with other big threats. So the strong players at this point, they really actually should take up Sarah's offer, and they really should, like Ziggy and Lockie and Sarah and Luke, they should all band together, because otherwise all the weaker players will just take them out. Your Taras and your Petes and I suppose your Jerichos as well to an extent, like they'll all just take them out. And when she pitches this, particularly to Lockie, he seems to be on board and it seems to work, but this is just a bluff. He's not really. He votes out Sarah and he says, I'm voting you out because you're a massive threat, which really sucks because he's making all this talk about to be the best, you got to beat the best. Well, why don't you want to sit next to someone who is also the best at the end if that's the case? I mean, obviously he doesn't think he is the best because he's not willing to really go down to the wire with some of the best players. I mean, if you, when you think about it, if you have to take out someone else who's a bigger threat than you because you know you can't win if you're sitting next to them, really you don't deserve to win then. And I do wonder, is this just game strategy from Lockie? Was he never intending to sit next to a stronger player? Did he never believe that stuff at all? Or is he maybe kind of kidding himself? Is he trying to imagine that he's got the strength and honor tattooed on his chest, while in reality, deep down, he actually doesn't believe in that? I'm actually starting to think it might be the latter. But the vote eventually goes Michelle's way, with everybody voting for Sarah. It's a unanimous vote. Even Jericho and Luke voted for Sarah, I think because they saw which way the tide was going, so they figured that if they throw more votes in her direction, just in case there's going to be a vote split, they'll be covered. And a little bit similar to Tess in the last episode, I don't think there's anything Sarah really could have done to avoid this, and it actually worries me a little bit that the game being 55 days long, much longer than the American one, we might be starting to see a flaw in the game having it much longer like that. Once you got a whole lot of big players who've been around for that amount of time, it changes from being like a strategic battle to just a massacre, because it's like you're sticking the knife in someone else's back at the same time someone else is sticking the knife into your back, and then that person is getting a knife stuck in their back as well, and you're like, this is crazy, this is just a massacre, this is not a battle. It seems to be degenerating into that, where it's not so much a case of strategy, it's more just a case of that you're just trying to avoid the knife. And I get that's kind of what Survivor's supposed to be about, but I seriously think Australian Survivor should really think about just shortening it to 30 days, similar to the American one does in the future, next season, if they have a next season, and don't have so many people. That way you can get rid of these non-elimination episodes that annoy people, tighten it up. But yes, I don't think there's anything Sarah really could have done. I mean, she made a lot of amazing moves, she played both sides throughout all of it, and as Michelle correctly predicted in last episode, eventually that's going to catch up with her. If this had been a 30-day game, I don't think it would have. I think she would have been able to ride that to the end, but since it's a 55-day game, eventually it does catch up to her. And I think she was a great player, and I mean, in a perfect world, if we could have the best players there at the end, it would be great to have Sarah and Henry sitting next to each other. That'd be amazing. Be really interested to see who would win then. But alas, that is not how the cookie crumbles. But one last thing that happened at the tribal that really confused people on Twitter was Ziggy played her idol for herself. Why? She was in no danger whatsoever of going home. Surely she must have sensed that she was in no danger whatsoever of going home. Why did she waste her idol then? She could have played it next time when she actually would have been in danger again. And after seeing it a second time, time, I think it might have something to do with how Pete said to her, you were supposed to play it for Michelle. Now, if you were Ziggy and Pete or someone else who knew you had your idol was trying to talk you into playing it for Michelle, I know I would probably think, are they really that worried that the vote is not going to go that way, or is this a trick? Are they trying to trick me into playing my idol for someone else so they can blindside me? Because there have been, like, literally every vote up until now has been a blindside. If they did want to get rid of Ziggy, that would be a great way to do it. Get her to play her idol for someone else, and then everyone votes for her. If she thought there was a possibility of that, that would totally explain why she played the idol, but she just played it for herself. I mean, imagine if Peter and all that was their plan, to blindside her after she plays it for someone else. That would have been a great moment where she's like, I'm going to play the idol for myself. And she had a bit of sass in her voice when she said that to Peter. And he's like, no, you're supposed to play it for Michelle. She's like, nope. So I think if I had to take a guess, that'd be the reason behind why she played it then. But we'll have to wait until some after interviews with Ziggy, whenever we end up seeing them, to like find out why she did that. But yeah, I'd put this down as another win for Michelle. I mean, she made that move to take out Tess, just like she made the move to take out Henry. And she was totally correct that in them keeping her out of the loop to take out Tessa has done far more damage to their game now than would have ever been done by allowing Tessa to stay in the game. And also, if they had done that, Lockie would be gone right now, and Lockie, which means he wouldn't have won the immunity, which means someone else would have won the immunity. And a couple of episodes ago, she did predict that all of Sarah's double dealing would eventually come back and get her, and she was right about that. So Michelle is kind of like the quiet achiever. You know, she doesn't make a big deal out of everything like Luke does, but she's getting stuff done. She really is. And I know a lot of people don't like her. People think she's a bit of a bitch, but you know, I don't care. I just look at the gameplay and she's getting stuff done. She really is. So thanks for watching, guys. Share around these videos with your friends if they also happen to like Survivor. I am Bandit, this is Bandit Strategy. Until next time, I will see you guys in the comments.